Hey La, welcome to Coffee with Avila. I'm Aviana Lemaire, and today I'm talking about Christian mysticism and a life's purpose. And it's gonna possibly be a heavy video because I'm going to talk about knowing your life's purpose, or for that matter, not even knowing it, but it's a specific state of being with Christ, being aware of the concept of a life mission, knowing the weight of a life's mission, taking it seriously, and understanding how important it is, but also seeing the marks of it in your life. The people around you, perhaps family, perhaps other people who have been shown to you so you could learn, or just having your own personal experiences and wondering, can I do this? Is it possible that I could even live this way? Is this too much? Am I capable of bringing this thing to a point of completion? Can I survive everything that's required of me when I'm supposed to be bringing it to that point? And do I want to live the life that I think is going to be attached to it? Because we ultimately don't necessarily know, but some of us have certain gifts, and we actually do know what lives we're about to live. We know what our relationships are about to be like. We have been told, we have an instinct. Instincts are just another way of us being talked to by God, but we've been told we're having an instinct. I'm just using the term so everybody recognizes them. Or we've been paying attention and we're learning from our surroundings, which is another way that God can speak to you. If God knows that you can pay attention to what is going on around you, then showing you patterns, which is another note for autists, being able to pick up on patterns like that, by the way. Showing you patterns so that you can figure them out and see them when they're coming again is another way that God can speak to you. The reason I want to talk about this is because it's been something no one ever told me in life. I'm probably going to start with that. And let me preface by saying it's not as bleak as it might sound per se. But I want to give everyone a warning who knows what their life purpose is. If you are thinking, I don't know if I can handle this, I don't know if I want to live this way, I think I want to choose something else, I think I want to just ditch it, I don't want anything to do with it, it's too much, it's too overwhelming, I've seen the downside, I'm afraid of the downside, I can intuit the downside. Something that I was never told and I needed to know is that you can choose not to walk in the wholeness and the fullness of your own life's purpose and all of your gifts. However, as a part of that same statement, that does not mean that the spiritual realm is making the same choice about you. I say this because some of us know there's more to this life than the body, than the trees, than... I'll move forward because it's gotten dark in here again and I feel like I'm disappearing. The sun is going crazy today. The reason I'm saying this is because we need to know, as Christ mystics, as people who know Christ, and as people who have been given these gifts, when you're thinking about what to do with your life, if you decide to develop the wholeness of who you are and what you're made to be, then you can have the ups with the downs. There might be attacks of varying natures, but you also will tend to be learning defense. You will, for yourself, for others, you will be learning to walk in what Christ has given us to protect ourselves. Sometimes it's serious. Sometimes it's life and death. Some of us will know this. And this is who I'm talking to. And sometimes it's heartbreak and heart health, and sometimes it's just how to heal healthfully after the heartbreak. Serious things can happen, and if you choose to walk in those gifts, you've kind of consented to God, yes, train me in this, I would like to know more. And sometimes you will end up being told things you don't even understand, knowledge that you'll end up using, but you don't even get it in the moment. You don't even know you have it yet, but you'll have it in the moment when you need it. And if you choose And I know this firsthand. This is why I'm saying this. I'm not making this up or gathering from available information. I needed to know this and no one told me. If you choose not to walk in your life's purpose, not to learn about it, not to consent to it, which is a choice, you need to be warned. The spirit world doesn't make that choice with you. You are made to be something. You're formed that way from the bottom up, inside and out, holistically. Body, mind, spirit, every aspect of you is made so that you can live this purpose. You are recognized in the spiritual realm as exactly who you are, whether or not you recognize yourself. That's very important. You don't need to believe it yourself. Some of the attacks that will come against us are to completely convince us that we have nothing to battle with or to battle for, and that we are not who we are made to be. These attacks will still come against you if you're deciding, I don't want anything to do with it. The result of me trying really hard to avoid what I knew I had because I understood the gravity. I'll just leave it at that. I understood it, and so I did not want it. This is the way power works in this spiritual community, in the spirit realm. Power is not an issue of amassing things or affecting or influencing other people. Power is an issue of the way in which you walk in God. And true power is not desirable, in my personal opinion, because it is a place where there is duality. So you will have the capacity to move great forces. And there will be great forces trying to move you. I didn't want this. And I had seen and I knew what I was in for, and I tried to avoid it. So what ended up happening with me is that everything attacked me anyway. But I didn't necessarily always have what I needed to completely shield myself. I do believe all of this was probably a part of my training, but I think that my choice had to do with how I was trained. Okay? I don't think it's predetermined and that I had to do these things to learn these lessons. You can choose how you learn these lessons. And for a while, without knowing it, I chose the hard way. I was trying to choose the easy way by not taking up the mantle, not making myself a threat, so not being attacked. I didn't understand that the spirit realm doesn't work that way. It sees you. Every entity sees you. It knows what you're made to be. It's trying to get more information about the details, but who and what you are can be seen. So the attacks will be exactly what they would have been anyway, except now, because you've chosen not to train yourself, you don't have the training necessary to make it an easier attack, to make it an easier, let me put it this way, to survive it easier, to get through it easier. You don't necessarily know the enemy's game. Like when you're watching people playing sports and there's a playbook, well, you want the enemy's playbook, because if you know what they're doing, if you've trained yourself, if you've learned, that's why people say know thine enemy. There's a lot of extremely intense mystical wisdom in some of the basic sayings that people use. People will throw this about when they're like, oh, I'm in competition, I want this job. So it's like, I want to know my enemy because I want to know what they're capable of so that I can respond. Or it can be know thy enemy because you just have somebody who's bugging you all the time, and well, you come out better if you have some idea of what their game is. I'll put it this way, so that maybe you can avoid it or survive it better. I'm trying to light my tea warmer, and I think my candle might have burned out. No? Okay, I'm going to be doing this. I've got coffee over here. I've made it too strongly. I don't even know what to say. It's been a weird day. I've been taking a bit of a rest for myself and finding new levels of peace, which has been absolutely beautiful. Except one of the things about it is I've not been having peace because I know I'm supposed to talk about this and I just couldn't get there. I was trying to plan this video. I finally realized I'm not supposed to plan this video. I think I'm supposed to speak from the heart. My experience came that way, unplanned, and now I just have it, so here it is. My main thing that I'm saying is you need to be aware that choosing not to embody who you are does not change who you are. And the experiences that we're having on this planet are not, for those of us who already know this, I just keep thinking what I'm saying people aren't going to process, but this is for people who already know. There's nothing to process. These experiences are not about human beings. They're not about their conscious level of personality or choice. They're not about where you live necessarily on this planet. Something superior to all of this is going on. Some of us can see it. We live in it, and it lives in us, and we understand. If this is you and you're trying to make a choice and you're trying to understand, you need to make an informed choice. And the information you need is, if you don't train, you're not avoiding it. You're actually setting yourself up to be attacked and not have any idea how to defend yourself, because you're not training yourself and you're not learning to be who you are and to sharpen what you were made for. It's difficult in this world for us not to be who we are. As autists and ADHDers, we're often masking something. We're trying to pretend that we are better at something that we're not naturally good at, or that we're not so good at it because it draws too much attention and people look at us a certain way or they judge us a certain way. And so we're often trying to prevent that and camouflage ourselves. And sometimes you can do this from human beings. But each human being, whether they are aware of it or not, is based on a spirit formation. The breath of life within you is spirit. It's spiritual. That's how we and every object, every plant, every head of lettuce, every rabbit eating it, and every fly is alive. And that spirit is a part of something greater that is connected in a different way. So sometimes you can use basic wit to hide yourself from people who are only seeing through their physical eyes. But other people, and they don't have to know this either, but they don't have to have any idea of spirituality, but they are of spirituality, because that is how life exists on this planet. So when we're masking and trying to hide ourselves as Christian mystics, as Christ mystics, I say specifically, the term is Christian mystics, and I use that so everybody can understand. But I call myself a Christ mystic because it's about Christ itself, and it's not about any formed religion under any name. It's not about how people choose to teach from a specific book. It's not about the translation they choose. It's not about their concept of the word. My relationship with Christ is going to, trump any book or organization every time. They all have some meaning. There's generally something you can learn, and I have been where I am because this is the place that was necessary for me and that gave me everything I needed. However, it's always, theoretically, Christianity is about finding God and interacting with God. And as a mystic, this is what we are doing anyway. The rest of it is very helpful in various ways. But for me, it's always about Christ itself and not about some other human being's iteration or translation of what they think that's supposed to mean. So I will often say Christ mystic from now on and probably never go into a long explanation again. But for those of us who are this person, that's who we know we are. That's what we know we are connected with. We talk with God. We receive messages from God. We might or might not believe it in the moment, but overall we know this is who we are. This is our bent. This is what we rely on or sometimes fight against, because it's a very I have the word temptuous, and I'm not even sure I remember what it means. I used to use that when I was a child, just popped back into my head. Sometimes it's a complex relationship. The waters are not always still, because you are dealing with things bigger than what we are taught. Some of us can see things other people don't believe exist. Some of us can always see them. There are people in the headline. I've been using this in my personal life, but a good example is there are people who've been in the headlines over the course of my life, and everyone else is having this reaction that they did what? To how many people? There were children involved? Oh my God, what? Are you kidding? Lives ended or were affected or whatever the case might be, and everyone is shocked. Like, not this person, they produced my favorite fill in here with a piece of media or some type of art, or oh my gosh, I voted for that, or whatever it is. They're shocked and they're amazed. Some of us are having this experience. I've had this experience. I will see somebody and be disgusted because I am in connection with my spirit, and so I have that connection with the infinite, and I can know and look and see, and some of my gifts are just that. I see this monstrous thing. There are individuals where I saw monstrous things on television every day, where there was something that I would watch. It'd be, oh, let's sit down as a family and watch this TV program, and it's something where it was decided that it was safe, it was good, it was wholesome, it's good for the kids, inside of like the Christian influence in the household where I was at that time. But I was disgusted and freaked out and disturbed and distressed and uncomfortable the entire time as a small child because of some of the things I would see in a particular individual. And many decades later, this particular individual is known worldwide for what they were doing to people that is infinitely harmful. The kind of behaviors that people who don't believe in spirituality will still call satanic or demonic, because that's the only wording they can think of that expresses such horrible, vile things. And somehow, without knowing it, they still know what it is when they see it. Some of us are out there living that life. If you are living that life, first of all, you are rare. There aren't many who can see that clearly. You need to know that you are rare, because when you're deciding how you're going to live your life, and the spirit realm and these entities can see you, they see your rareness, and they consider your rareness to be a specific power. This is going to be a situation for those who know superheroes. I keep thinking about Spider-Man when I think about this, and I guess somehow I knew I was going to say it in this video. When these entities can see you, and they know who you are, if you've seen this, and I've watched the movies, I haven't done the comics, but I know somebody who knows the comics, and they'll tell me when this stuff is realistic and when it's canonical, and when it's not. Something that I've always noticed specifically about Spider-Man in every story I've ever seen all of my life is that these powers come, he has no idea what's coming, and then all of a sudden something changes and it ignites. Sometimes, so for us as Christ mystics, it doesn't always just come all of a sudden in the course of a normal life. We've probably had lives that are remarkable, with very remarkable experiences that people don't even believe or will gaslight us. They don't even know they're gaslighting us. They automatically, something in them to which they must acquiesce right now, automatically needs them to tell us that it's not true, that we're looking at it the wrong way. That person we knew who did that thing, they're not that kind of person. They don't do things like that. I know them personally. I'm telling you, he's a good guy. People will say things like that to us. An experience we often have is spending our entire lives being told that what we're experiencing is not real. It's not happening. We'll often be told, oh, you're judging them without any information. We'll run into stuff like, you can't judge a book by its cover. And you don't know this person. Just because they're a celebrity, this psychology works for some people, by the way, but that's not through the eyes of Christ, where you're seeing the ultimate truth. God is not confused in this way. And so when you have a connection with God, and you are getting your information and your sensations and your instincts from God, you're not judging a book by its cover. You just are being instantly downloaded with all of the information inside of that book, and very often a good amount of information from the author of that book that other people don't have and aren't privy to. But other people don't necessarily see in that way. You are rare. Your vision is rare. Your gift is rare. And so you're going to be hit with an equal and opposite in your life, which means however rare you are, that is how rare your attacks will be. The ones that come against you. However specific your spiritual gifts and powers are, what God has programmed you to be, that is how powerful the attacks will be that come against you. And I say Spider-Man, I specify, with Spider-Man, he's just kind of living an average life per se. But if you remember his origin story, I'm not going to spoil it for people who don't know and haven't come to it. I think everybody knows, but who knows? His origin story involves some really intense things already having happened to him. He just doesn't know about them yet. He doesn't understand the depth or the meaning yet. And this is greatly what we're experiencing. Our origin stories have been thick from the beginning, and we just haven't known the details. Sometimes we won't know the details for a great time coming, and sometimes they'll come to us in bits and pieces because we don't need to have everything yet. I will tell you right now, the fullness of information from Christ can blow your mind in a way that you will be here for decades knowing what you already know. And the level of realization about it that can hit you can make you feel like you can't handle being in your body anymore. I've had realizations where if I didn't use everything, God will show me something I needed to know. And if I didn't use everything God has taught me to hold on to myself, it literally can feel like I'm not able to stay in my body as a result. Because this knowledge is not limited to the capacity of the human brain. This is just what we're using to filter it. It's an interface. The knowledge itself is beyond anything we know from the viewpoint of a puny, finite human body. Sometimes the body feels like it can't take it. People all over the world sometimes have experiences where they learn something. Sometimes it's something very detrimental. Sometimes maybe someone they love has passed away, and it hits them in such a way the realization makes them feel like they can't stay in their body anymore. That's a very real thing. The wholeness of the awareness that that love is now being separated in such a way that you can no longer contact them or interact with them is so overwhelming. Sometimes it takes that for other people to have this experience, and as Christ mystics, we can have that experience with a great many things that hit us in the same way on the same level. And sometimes it's not just about us and one other person or one life ending. Sometimes it's way bigger than that, with way more individuals and way more equally intense repercussions. And I'm saying Spider-Man, I knew it would come around to this, but I don't know how to explain it. I always thought about Spider-Man in life, and I felt this weird connection to the story even before I had seen any of the story fully, because I noticed as a child, this seems to be the one character that's a perfect iteration of coming into different levels of power or knowledge or awareness. And every single time, I'm about to say Miles Morales, but I'm trying to think of Peter Parker. This is the one with which I'm most familiar. Every single time Peter Parker learns more, hones more gifts, trains more, he enters into a new level of something. And as soon as he enters, like he's in level 0, I don't know any training, I don't know anything, all of a sudden he discovers level 1. Level 1 happens in the instance he learns about level 1. He's like, yeah, I can do this. I can run around and, I can stop people from pickpocketing or something. But while he's learning about level 1, there's some level 10 master villain out there who's learning that he exists and has a problem with him. While Peter Parker is training level 1, learning about level 2, going through the horrific losses and compromises in level 3, learning that he can't fully embody his gifts without experiencing hurtful aspects of them, like having people coming after you, having people attacking you, having people seek you out, having people, for Spider-Man, obviously trying to kill you, having people just hate you for no reason, having bigger villains find you. I've noticed that this distinct specific thing about Spider-Man that I related to in my life is when he learns level 1, level 2, level 3, he immediately gets indoctrinated to level 5 because a level 5 villain has already found him. So he has to learn how to survive a level 5 villain the hard way. It's trial by fire. He's being thrown into the fire, into the furnace right then, and he's either going to come out as gold, aka survive on any level in any way, live to fight another day, or he is going to disintegrate because there are too many impurities and there's nothing left and he falls apart. It's literally live or die. And I've noticed that this keeps happening over and over. He's on level 0 and he gets these horrible experiences. He ends up learning about 1, 2, his life changes, 3. There's always a villain that's bigger. By the time he's indoctrinated to level 5 and now he's trying to figure out how to learn about that and protect his loved ones and save his own life, he's constantly thinking, can I do this? Should I do this? But something in him knows. And he keeps making that choice even if he tries to walk away. This is very often what it's like for us when we are I hit my lighter. When we are mystics of Christ, we are learning, but we're coming into a world that already exists and a series of spiritual placements and entities and challenges that already exist. We are coming into a line of things that the people who procreated us created for us. Sometimes things that they fought, but it wasn't a single generation's worth of fighting that was going to end it or fix it. Sometimes it's been many generations of fighting. Sometimes it's been many generations of making progress. And sometimes it's been many generations of trying to make progress while other people around you are doing the exact opposite. I can say if I just pay attention to, I don't want to get into this right now, this will be an infinitely long video, and maybe, I don't know how much of that I even want to say. There are things in the history of my genetic lines where it appears that I'm the only person who hasn't done those things or lived those things. They call us generational curse breakers. When something is, I'll put it this way, for me it would be horrible. For me the challenge would be too great. It's profoundly unnecessary. I don't need to deal with it too. It's something that I at some point lived my life in fear of because I didn't think I had any control or that I could help it. And so there are a great many things like that where I just, at a certain point, before I had the knowledge and the training, I lived in fear. Because they're that level of thing. And there are some things where it's about trying to protect yourself from other people's actions, and there are some things where it's about trying not to get into sort of that folie à deux situation where it takes 2 to tango and make a bad situation. And there are some things where you just want to actively know better so you can choose not to make a decision that ends up being a horrific mistake. And there are a lot of things like this that have been in my past, and I have avoided them, sidestepped them, or in some way I don't even fully understand, been protected from them when I was too little to even understand what I had to escape. So the weight on my life has been pretty intense in that way, and I know I'm not the only one. A lot of us are doing this. So if you look at yourself and you see yourself as being that person, or you already know the term generational curse breaker, please know you're not the only one out there going through this. You're not the only one who would believe it. I'm not encouraging you to tell your story and unveil yourself and uncover yourself. That's something where you need to be led by Christ and have the strength to protect yourself before you even try. It's overwhelming. Sometimes you can share one piece of information about yourself and be attacked very specifically. I've lived the kind of life where sometimes I have put information out there. I went through an experience recently where I put a piece of information out there in a specific way, in a specific context, because I believed God to be showing me something really specific. And some part of me, I can't even say this is wise, but sometimes I do it. I have weird approaches. I can't even tell what I'm going to do next spiritually. But I needed to test this for myself. One thing about me is the reason that I believe, people sometimes think we believe in Christ because we don't know any better and we don't have any information. But those of us who are on this path, we know that we believe in Christ because we know better than all of that, and we have way more information than all of that. It's not even about that. There's a type of knowledge. Some of us seek the ultimate truth, and when we have it, the painful thing feels like what we've learned, but the truly painful thing is often looking around and seeing that no one else has it. No one else believes in it. People actively tell you that it's not real, and you are completely isolated in the whole of reality, all of the universe, because you're the only one who knows this thing you know. So I actually did something recently, like I said, where I shared some information because I need to know God in different levels and in different ways. I was being given information that was astronomical and tested in ways of trust and belief that I wasn't sure I was able to handle. So I shared some information. I had a choice in a moment. Do I share this and uncover myself and suffer a great deal of attacks afterward? If this information is coming from God and it's right, I'm going to be attacked. Or do I keep my mouth shut and play better safe than sorry and be safe? But the thing is that if I did that, I would never fully know that conversation with God that I thought I was having, because it's not like having a conversation with somebody else where they walk into the room and they tell you things. Conversations with God can happen in so many different ways. Some of us will spend our lives honing our ability to understand what we've been told and trying to make sure that it actually came from the Most High. So I decided to test this, and as a result, I went through a series of attacks that went on for a while and were crazy making, okay? Things that attack your sanity. But I know myself. All I'm going to say is I did something that was equal to what I know how to deal with. And it tested that. And I have trained a lot. But I came out of it with a series. First, I'll say I'd never advise somebody to do something like that and choose the unsafe route. But I also know that mystics of Christ come in very different levels. Some don't even know if they want to be a Christ mystic, and some have already decided 100%, I know enough things that this is my choice and it's always going to be my only choice. So if you're that person, you might know what I'm talking about. Giving everything over to something that claims to be everything, that claims, the claims are astronomical and impossible to believe, right? But we already know what we believe. We know the interactions we're having, and we need to trust this. So I will sometimes have different levels of trust with God the way you might have different levels of trust with a human being, because I've been through so much in my life and I wanted God to protect me. And that protection did come, but sometimes it came in ways where I was not safe. I wasn't safe, but I was still somehow protected. It almost falls into the category of it can always be worse, which is not a term I like, but sometimes you're being protected in a way where many worse things can happen, but you're not actually just being kept away from any of the bad at all. Like, well, I'll just put it this way. Grew up in a very abusive household and spent a lot of time afraid for my life and the life of my loved ones. Was even mistreated by some of the ones I was afraid for. And so that's not safe. But from within that situation, there were a lot of other things from which I was protected because I was afraid for our lives for a reason. Things happened, and we're still alive. So not safe, but protected. That's what I mean. It wasn't safe to be in that situation, but protected from some of what could have happened and some of what was attempted, right? So they can both be true, unfortunately. But for some of us, it's at that level where what this did was give me a level of belief in God because I saw the moments where I was protected, but overall I wanted to know, why didn't you just make me safe in the first place? So I will sometimes form my trust in God in the way that a lot of people will interact with another human being, which is testing a situation from other angles to see how much truth there is in it. I don't really know how much I do this anymore in all reality. I'm saying it in the present tense But this did take place in the past, and it was a pretty big game changer. And one of the things that happened when I decided to do this, share something about myself, knowing I was going to get attacked if I shared it, and knowing that if I didn't share it, I'd nip it in the bud and there wouldn't be a reason to attack me. But I did it so I could learn. And I needed to know if I'm giving everything over in the way that we do for Christ, I need to know Christ the way I think I know Christ. And so I came out of it with a level of understanding, a level of knowledge, a level of what they would call faith, a level of trust that I didn't have before, because before I had this question, what am I being told? And after that, a series of attacks came at me from someone who's on the level to try to attack us in that way. And I gained so much knowledge and so much power and so much strength from that experience that once I came through it, I no longer looked at it as a slip of judgment. In the moment, I thought, I think I might have made the wrong choice. And then as things kept coming, I thought, yeah, I did this to myself. This was a mistake. But afterward, I settled into a level of myself where all you did was train me. And now I've been through that training. So Peter Parker has left level 5 now. Peter Parker has left level 6 and level 7. Peter Parker is at level 10. But because I've had the experiences where I was at level 3 and level 5 attacked me, or I was at level 5 and then level 7 heard about me and came after me, it doesn't matter if I'm at level 10 right now, because it teaches you something about the possibility of a level 13, right? And this is all just like, these numbers are apropos of nothing, except I'm using them as an example because some of us know what other people would call a scale of 1 to 10. If we were going to be perfectly honest, we'd be like a scale of 1 to 1,000. The complexities and the level of danger can't be summed up between 1 and 10. It's insane. Especially not when you see, the way other people use the scale, the things they're talking about as a 10. We need like 100 or 1,000 to actually work with accurately and truthfully. I don't know why I've gone into all of that detail, but I have had this sensation that I need to speak from the heart to get this information out there. I'm saying this because maybe there's one person out there. Maybe you don't ever even comment or anything, and I don't know you exist. But I existed, and I needed to know this. And one of the things I needed to know was, I don't know how to explain the level of isolation you feel. We are rare. You feel like you're the only one. Excuse me. I will talk through this no matter what my voice is doing today. It's coming out. It will come out in part 2 videos and part 3 videos. I'll make a series of videos, whatever's necessary. I can get this one done, or I will grind down on it like you'd never believe for infinity. I'm saying this for a reason. So, you feel like you're incredibly alone and like there's no one out there. A lot of us know that the one we have who understands us is Christ itself. And I'm going to tell you, spoiler alert, that can feel incredibly isolating. There are a lot of people out there who have gigantic smiles and they're wearing the cliche outfits and they're saying the cliche terms and quoting the cliche scriptures and they're saying, my bestie is Jesus. We're so happy. I'm so happy. They're just grinning. They're so happy. We don't know what they go through behind closed doors. That could just be their church face or their social face or their social media face, but sometimes somebody is empty in such a way that they don't know what we are dealing with. Sometimes they're cutesy about it because they don't know anything that's not cutesy. For some of us, when the truth is that Christ is the only one we have, that Christ complex of whatever / whomever that God is, right? It feels isolating in a way that makes us feel like perhaps we're already in a grave. My experience was like, and it's very often like, I can't even believe the people I thought I trusted most in life have betrayed me in this way. I can't even trust them. The more I get closer to Christ, the people who I thought were close with Christ become my enemy. And that's mind-blowing. But maybe that's part of their challenge and something they have to learn. And frankly, some of us are geared to do something where we need to know we trust in the Most High more than we can even trust in the people we leaned on, the people we survived with, the only ones who know what we went through. Because when it comes down to it, there have been moments in my life where things have been very serious, and God has been the one that has protected me from harm, and those people have not. An example I won't get into, I'll put it this way. I have been put in directly in harm's way. And I don't know how to explain it. The experience of going through spiritual training will teach you that the most trusted people in your entire life can put you in the kind of harm that some people don't even walk out of alive, or that changes some people in such a way that they don't know how to continue to be alive. And then you have to process that they can be like that to you. And some of us, we will know why that's happening. They're dealing with their own stuff. That's their own journey. They're breaking their own generational curses. Sometimes a person spends their entire life locked in with what even colloquially is referred to as their personal demons. And when you are doing everything you can to exorcise everyone's demons, including your own, to have mastery over them instead of allowing them to have mastery over your life, then sometimes that triggers everybody else's. And people who have the purest hearts and want to be kind and loving, sometimes they just don't have mastery over that one personal demon that makes them into your worst nightmare one day. They're not even trying, but it happens. And once again, for a solid point on this, we're living these lives. We're made to be rare. If you know who you are and you know who God made you, or if you are just concerned, if you have a suspicion, if you're curious, if for some reason you want to think about it and you don't even know if you believe in this, but for some reason you're here, you're there, you're thinking those thoughts. There are choices that we make in life to go through a door or not to look through a window or not to get more information or not to. Most everything in life is ultimately a yes or no when it comes down to it. Do I consider that this is a possibility? Yes or no? It's often that simple. So if the possibility you're considering is your spiritual gifts, and you know the weight of them, or you're just questioning the entire process or whether or not it exists, whatever it is that's got you questioning something. I don't want to be too specific. If you're questioning it, if you want to know where you're going, should you choose something like this? Would you choose something like this? Is there proof? Might you run into proof? And you can run into your own personal proof that has been molded specifically for you. No one else. It's possible that no one else would even believe it, except maybe somebody else who knows how that works, which is very rare. But if you're wondering, the main, most important thing you need to know is you are not the only one seeing potential in you or questioning what you're going to do. The spirit realm works differently. There are spirits out there that might manipulate the truth or try to make it seem like it's a lie, or do it in some, they might take the truth and do something horrible or hateful or heinous with it, but that's because they're working with the truth. And the truth is who you are. So if you decide that you don't want to explore who you are, I've got to say this for people who are open to it. If you decide that you don't want to explore who you are, you don't want to learn who you are, you don't want to confront who you are, you don't want to learn how you're made, what you're here for, you don't want to deal with the trouble, you don't want to deal with the attacks, I'm telling you what no one told me. The attacks are still coming for you. You just will have chosen not to formulate the tools and the defenses necessary to overcome them and be protected, even if you don't feel like you're safe. And sometimes the tools that you learn will actually keep you safe, and you won't even be in a bad situation being protected from worse. You will actually just be not in a bad situation. But that is if you choose to go there. If you let Christ lead you where Christ is trying to take you to be. And if you don't do that, everything in the entirety of the true realm, outside of physical, the one that can't burn, the one that won't turn to dust and drift away, the one that doesn't fall apart, the one that doesn't sort of consume itself and have creatures on it that consume it and are consumed by it. Everything in the true realm still knows exactly who you are, and it will respond accordingly. So if you manage to accidentally trigger an attack because you don't even know you're doing it, I just want you to know that it's gonna be an attack that's considered to be necessary. It might seem small, it might seem big, it might seem out of nowhere, but they'll still come. You're not turning down the bad side. If you choose not to discover yourself and what you're built for, it's not you protecting yourself. It's you choosing not to find your armor, and not to find your weapons, and not to find all of the protection and the gear that was given to you and formed and fitted to you specifically by Christ, by the Most High. So now you'll be walking around. You might be, who knows, you might have some smaller attacks sometimes, but sometimes people are attacked in a way that ends everything. And I'm not saying this to scare you, I'm saying this because if you already know what I'm talking about and you're listening, for some reason you must know you need to hear it. At the very least, so you can hear it and be like, that redheaded chick, she insane, I'm gonna forget about all of that and then move on with your life. I doubt that'll be the case, but it's informed consent. And when it comes down to spiritual challenges, we need to be informed. I consider uninformed consent to not be consent at all. If you look back on your life and realize, if I had known this, I wouldn't have done that. That wasn't informed consent. So I'm here to give people the real thing. And I earned this the hard way, and I survived long enough to tell it. So there it is. I wish I had something else to say to make it sound nicer or kinder, but all of my words just seem to have drifted away, which tends to mean that I've said what I'm here to say. So if you got anything from this and you want to, like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, do all the things. And if you don't do any of that, still hope that it did something that's needed in your life. And now I've gotten the weight off of me because I knew I needed to say this, but I was resting. I gave myself permission to rest because that challenge I went through that I talked about, where I put myself out there so I could learn about God a little more in my own way, wow, that did some things to me. But I've come out of it with a level of calm and peace and clarity and knowledge I could never have imagined. Would not recommend it, but each one of us has our own path, and that's mine. So that's about it. Bye now.